The LPGA, Spencer, seems to have discovered a new phenom. Talk about her.
Yeah, Anna Nordqvist is her name, and I think sort of very timely she's come along. The last 6 months, there's been a bit of doom and gloom about the LPGA. They've lost a lot of tournaments through sponsors, and of course they lost Annika Sorenstam, their real blue-eyed girl for so long, who dominated the scene, who retired at the end of last year to start a family. And then along comes this 22-year-old Swede, Anna Nordqvist, who has taken everyone by storm. She was playing only her 5th event as a member of the LPGA Tour, and she won the McDonald's Championship, which is the second major of the 4 majors in the women's game. And I think she stunned a lot of people around the world who weren't aware, but in fact she had a very good pedigree. She was in the winning Swedish team that won the World Amateur Ladies Championship last year. She was the leading amateur at the Women's British Open last year, and I know a lot of people in Europe expected her to make big waves pretty much as soon as she did turn pro, and she hasn't let anyone down. The Swedish media, I'm told, have gone absolutely wild over her, and you know they're talking of her as the new Annika and how she's going to surpass what Annika did. So it's a tremendous amount of pressure on her. As I say, she's only 22 years old, but I think it's good for the LPGA. They do desperately need to get some new stars. Michelle Wie had a hole-in-one during the tournament, and I know people are still waiting for her to make that breakthrough. She still hasn't won, and they really need those figures, those personalities to spark the women's game now. And so I think any new girl who comes along, that's great.
Talking about the need for a spark, what's happened to the Mexican wonder?
It's a very interesting one. I mean, what people don't realize is she has won twice in 2009, 2 of her first 9 events. By most people's standards, that's pretty damn good. By her standards of the last few years, it hasn't been so good, and she's been a lot more inconsistent. I mean, very rarely in previous years has she failed to break 70. You know, it was a story almost if she didn't break par. So she's struggling, and I think, as we've seen with so many golfers, their perspectives changed. She announced at the start of the year she's getting married in December. She's always said that while she's playing golf, that's the main thing, but for her it's not the be-all and end-all. She, again, has contributed a huge amount of charitable work. She has her own Lorena Ochoa Academy now in Mexico, where she is pumping in, I know, huge amounts of money to develop underprivileged kids, not just at golf, but in education as well. And I know that she is incredibly highly regarded and thought of and respected by almost everyone I know in the golf industry. And so I think everyone really does hope she has a strong second half to the year. She's got 2 more majors left. And I think it would be lovely to see her win at least one of those, and again to finish the year as the leading money winner on the LPGA Tour, because we may not be seeing so much of her after this year, at least for a few years.
Our sweetheart Yanni is doing okay.
She's been steady. Again, her path to stardom started at the LPGA Championship last year, which she won, which was her first win, which, again, Anna Nordqvist, the similarities there, it was her first LPGA win as well. But Yanni did well. She won, I think, in April, so that was her second tour win, which they often say is the hardest to get after the first one. So I think that was like a monkey off her back. Her English has improved. I've seen her do a few interviews now. She's, again, nice little...
Got a brand new Porsche?
Well, I think she bought Annika Sorenstam's house. And so she's settled into that, I think, in California. And apparently this huge place, so she's got friends around there permanently, and I think she's settling into the lifestyle very well. And certainly, you know, if you see her on television, she's developed from when we saw her out in Asia a couple of years ago. I mean, a tiny little teenage girl, you know, not a great deal
and
of
so
power.
Nick was responsible for her,
well,
right?
Partly. I mean, she came up through the Faldo Series Asia and was a winner there, and I think she's mentioned various times how much that helped her, the exposure, not just to playing in tournaments in Asia, but in Europe as well. So, no, I think her, and there's a number of the Korean girls, Shinji Ai also playing very solidly, who was third at the LPGA. And no, I think we can expect to see very strong showing from a number of these Asian girls in the second half of the year.